Hey everybody, Ethan James here with TheHonestCarpenter.com, once again with Harrison Peacock of CCS Triangle Electric. Today we're going to show you how to remove an existing kitchen fluorescent light fixture and replace it with an LED flush mount fixture of a similar size.
So we're back at our panel again. We need to take a little look, see which circuit it is that's labelled as kitchen lights. We take a look through our information, we see kitchen lights, isolate our circuit, and we're good to change this light fixture over. So we're going to be taking down the fixture. First of all, we're going to open up the cover.
Good.
First, we're going to take our tubes out. We're going to twist these ones. Some are push, some are twist, until it locks out. And we're going to open. We've got slots here and then over here. So just with your hands, you're going to apply pressure. Apply pressure, and it opens. So we can see our screws. We're going to disconnect our wires. First of all, we're going to test and make sure it is dead. We're good. Test on a known supply. Disconnect our ground wire. Straighten it out so it'll come out of our hole easier.
What's with the red and yellow wire nuts? Are they a different brand?
They're different sizes. You do have different brands, but they're rated for different sizes. These are a bit big really for number 15. Really be using tan. So I'm not going to use these wire nuts when I put it back. I'll use some smaller ones. I'm just going to loosen the plastic grommet so the wire comes out easier. Now when you're doing fluorescent light fixtures, there's a lot of metal sharp edges. Personally, I would advise using gloves when you're doing this because it's really easy to slip and slice part of your hand. We're going to check. We can see we've got our screws here and here. So what we're going to do is apply our hand in the middle to give it some balance and unscrew. So these are actually screwed in the round parts. You can get a lot of older fixtures that actually have wood frames built and the fixture holds it in, and as soon as you unscrew it, the wood frame slips, and before you know it, you've got a couple of things falling at the same time. So really take care when you take this fixture down. So we've gone for the 4000 Kelvin spectrum because we're in the kitchen. We want to make sure we've got that more white light compared to the yellow, as we talked in our previous videos. We've made sure that this is a dimmable range flush mount. Always check to make sure that you can dim these fixtures if you want to go ahead and do that. If it doesn't have it on there, more than likely you can't do it. And if you get a fixture that doesn't have dimming options, when you put a dimmer on, it'll just start flashing. It won't move the way you need it to. So there are hundreds of thousands of different light fixtures. They all have different things. You've got similar ways of them being fixed, but you'll definitely want to at least read the instructions, or if once you get more comfortable and you've done a lot like I have, then you're going to know roughly where things are going to be to open and close them. So right now I'm assessing how the fixture's built, how it needs to be installed, how it's going to look, how we're going to connect it. We can see that we've got our 4 points here that we're going to need to screw, so we're going to line them. And we can see where our connections are going to go. Now, me personally, I'm never happy with the length that these start off at, so what I actually do is just cut them off and start again. So we just, because it's multi-strand, they come out loose. And then you want to twist them together so that you get a stronger connection when you hook them up with your wire nuts. Yeah. So, this light fixture here, this is where your wires are going to connect in. What we need is a box to be sat into the ceiling. It should be for every single fixture, there should be a box installed, but with this one, because of the previous fluorescent fixture, it pulled through the hole. Now we need to install a box so that we have enough space to do our terminations for our new fixture, put them into the wire nuts, and then poke them into the box so it has the space to comply. And we're going to do that now. We're going to put our finger in here. We know that the circuit's dead. I can feel that there is wood here. We want to make sure that when we cut this in, we're only cutting into sheetrock so that we can slot the box in correctly and we don't have to do any damage or cut any joists or wood that's currently installed.
So you shove it all the way up in?
Just enough that I can put it here like that. We want to make sure the box is as straight as possible, and then we're going to line around this. It's really important when you do this that you line it correctly, and you see how we've got the box opposite side face to cut round. If you cut the sheetrock too much, the tongues on this box, when you screw it in and they open, if you cut the sheetrock too loose, they're not going to fit in. This lip isn't going to sit comfortably, this isn't going to screw in and hold it onto the sheetrock. So it's very important that you cut the sheetrock the right size. If you're uncomfortable and you haven't done this too often, it's always better to cut smaller than larger. You can cut more out, you can't put a small amount back in. So if you zoom into this hole, you're going to see there's another wire that came across, and there's a duct that came across as well. So if we'd used any sort of machine tool, we would have cut through the duct and we could have cut through the other wire. That wire is more than likely live. Let's push our tester on it and see. And it is. So if we'd used a machine tool, we could have cut through that, damaged our sawzall, blown another wire out, and then we would have had to repair it and do more damage. So it's very important the cutting tool you use, and we have a prime example here with a duct and another wire. Now that we've got our box cut open, we've got our wire ready to insert, we're going to open the side of our box here with our cutters. Just going to apply pressure. We've cut our first part of the hole, other side, move it across. Now we have some openings. People are going to argue that you don't need to do that, or that I've made it a little bit too big. Potentially I have. We want it to hold in there nice and tight and snug. So the drill was screwing in our screws that have the tongues on the side. We want to make sure that we're screwing really slowly. We're not in a rush to do this, and you want to feel the tension move as the box gets pulled in. Okay, so we've got our spacing allowance now so we can install the fixture. We're just going to fold these back again. Cool. So we've got a wire. We're going to make sure this slots into the box. And now the trickiest part of this is making sure it looks straight. You can have a laser level if you like spending lots of money on tools. Generally I do it by eye. It's important when you do this part that you look at it from both sides. Visually in different rooms it's very easy for it to look lopsided or not look straight. So we're going to mark our two here and we're going to move along. So now we're going to take a regular screw, and we've marked out where we're going to put our holes. We just want to put the screw in to see if there's any wood where we want to put our drywall anchors, because if we try and screw one in, it's going to do damage to the sheetrock and tear it more. So we're just going to put this in quickly and take a little look. And there's actually wood there.
Because these hook on with little keyhole openings, right?
Correct.
All right, so we're pre-mounting screws here so we can hook the plate onto it, right like that, with these little things.
Now comes our connections. On older homes, you're going to have a lot more complicated wiring. They used to do it where you had your loop in and then your loop out, and then your switch wire would come from the fixture. Now that all those wires go to the switch and out. So if your house is a lot older, you're going to have different wires. It's going to be more complicated. They're going to have different whites. One's going to be the switch live and one's going to be the neutral. It's very easy to get them confused. If you have a set of wires in this fixture that look confusing, call an electrician, because you're not going to be able to figure it out unless you've got another video that potentially we could do in the future. Here's where you need 3 hands. So I'm using my shoulder and my arm to hold it in place. I just want to get one wrap around, because with multi-strand and then single strand, it's very easy for the multi-strand to come loose. So you want to get it wrapped around a little bit.
And you're joining the grounds here.
And then you're joining the grounds. Be careful that you're not scratching the ceiling with the fixture. And then you just want to give it a pull. And if it comes out like that, then you've got to try again.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it right every time first. But you want to make sure these connections are solid and tight. And if you pull on it, it cannot move or come out. Otherwise you're going to lead to sparking, overheating and burning. And that's the worst thing that you can have for electrical. We're using smaller wire nuts so that we get a stronger, tighter connection. I'm just holding with my left finger the two wires while I twist, and that's not coming out. We're giving it a little test pull. It's not moving. And we want to make sure that when we're wrapping it around, as in a comment from a previous video, that as we turn this, that it forces the wire to twist with it. If you wrap it around the wrong way, as you twist it, it's going to loosen. We're just pushing these wires in, putting a bend in them so that when we push this in, we're not going to crush or damage any of the wires. And it's going to be sitting in comfortably, and there's no chance of anything getting pinched, and that's accidentally damaging something. Slotted on our two screws, which we're going to move. I'm just going to sort of lean back a bit if I can, just to make sure it looks straight. Obviously the larger a fixture, the more obvious it is when it's not installed straight. Normally now is a good time to go and turn the circuit breaker on. So we haven't put it all back together yet, we've still got it half open, we've done our connections. So we're going to go to the breaker, turn it on, test it at its condition right now before we screw our other two screws in, and then put the rest of the fixtures together to make sure that it's working, so we don't have to take it to pieces a couple of times. So we're just going to turn it on for 1 second.
Test is on.
As we can see, it's working. Now we can turn the breaker back off. We can carry on. So I'm standing a few feet away now, I'm looking directly at the light fixture, I'm checking to see if it lines up with the rest of the things in the kitchen. Do the cabinets look right? Does it look like it's in line? Am I happy with it? And then I'm going to move to the other side and make the same look as well. So we're just going to put our last two screws in, the first two that we had to hold it in place. We don't want to over screw it because then we're going to crush the metal. If we damage the metal and if the screw goes through, you're going to have trouble making it look right afterwards. I want to make sure there's no gap between the ceiling and the light fixture. I can see a slight one here, so I just want to do some more screwing, maybe a couple of turns. And I'm happy with that. We're screwing them in loosely, just so we can get them all on first, and then we'll screw them in tight after they're all in place.
These are just little casement screws that hold the cover to the mounting plate. Just like that.
Boom!
That's a wrap up, everybody. We changed out our fluorescent kitchen fixture with LED flush mount fixture. Looks good. Thanks, Harrison, for joining us today. And we are going to have a follow-up video where we install a dimmer switch, because LED lights like this one should typically, if they're compatible, be installed on a CL dimmer. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.